Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be talking about Skin and Bones by Renee Watson. This is a book I picked up because someone actually left a comment on one of my previous videos mentioning that I should check this book out, and I had read Renee Watson once before. I'd read one of her young adult books and really enjoyed it, and so I decided to just, give this one a shot, and I'm really glad that I did. So in Skin and Bones, you are following this woman named Lena. She is 40 years old. She's Black. She's plus sized. She has a daughter, and she is about to get married. And in one of the very early chapters, it is Lena's wedding day, and her fiance, soon to be husband, comes to the house where she's getting ready and basically confesses something major to her, and this causes Lena to just completely call off the wedding and break up her relationship to kind of process what just happened, and what she just found out, and to figure out basically now what she's going to do. And so, like, in general, like, the real high level summary of this book is you are basically just following Lena as she figures out her own personal identity. This basically forces her or causes her to really start questioning a lot of things about her life and the decisions that she's made and the choices that she's made. She is a plus size woman, and so she starts thinking a lot more about her body and what it means to love herself in her body. She has a daughter who she's trying to raise, who's relatively young, and trying to not create the same type of negative feedback about her daughter to have about her body that she has about her. She is a librarian who is working on a sort of like display or an event, talking about the like forgotten history of Black people in Oregon. This is also a book about like sisterhood and friendship, as she has a couple of really good friends that she's known for a really long time who, like, their friendship isn't perfect. Like, they conflict with each other. There's differing opinions on different topics and all of these different things. And so, like, this book is really like hard to summarize because it's about a lot of things, but it's really just about like this woman who is, approaching her midlife, and things have changed dramatically, and she's sort of reassessing a lot about herself and her own life. So yeah, like I said towards the beginning, I'm really glad I picked up this book. I wouldn't have picked it up if that person hadn't left a comment saying so, and so thank you to that viewer for recommending this book, because I really enjoyed this book a lot. The way this book is written, it's written in kind of like these really short chapters or vignettes, and so like I mentioned, there's a lot of things being covered here, but it kind of like works as a book. When you have such a wide net to potentially cast about a character, it could potentially feel like bogged down or like too dense, or there's just too many sporadic things going on. But because they're written in these short vignette chapters, there's still a lot of movement to the book. The jumping of like topics or ideas don't feel too outlandish in the way this book is written, but I also think that it just really captures just sort of like the comprehensiveness of what it is like for a plus size Black woman to be existing in the world today in a really great way. Lena feels like she could be a real person in this world, and I feel like a lot of times that can be missed in fiction, only because like sometimes characters have to seem like exaggerated in certain aspects or certain traits or anything like that, but like Lena feels like a very real, very grounded person. And this is like one of those books where I feel like Renee Watson is discussing or writing about things that aren't typically written about or covered in media and things like that. There's a lot of things about Lena where she is just like navigating spaces where she may not be welcome, based on like the American standards and stuff like that. She has a lot of like negatives against her. She's Black, she's a woman, she's plus sized, she's a single mom, all of these different things that society currently looks down upon, and sort of how she's navigating that and how she is continuing to realize the value that she brings to a lot of places is just like really well done, really beautiful. Another focus of this book is about the history of Black people in Oregon, specifically around Portland, Oregon. The character of Lena, like I said, is working on this sort of like exhibition about the history of Black people in Oregon, and there's a lot of discussions of what it's like to be a Black person in Oregon, especially someone who like multiple generations of her family have lived there, and so they've seen the changes of like where people live, people are inhabiting the stores that used to be there that might have had like Black owners and things like that, and the way the community has changed and sort of the things that have potentially been forgotten. And so I think like Renee Watson does a really good job of like talking about those things within this book without it feeling like too ham-fisted or like preachy, so to speak. Like it works because of the fact that Lena is a librarian who's working on this exhibition. There are like these like side tangent almost like chapters where there are specific events and histories talked about, but overall I didn't really mind it because again, the chapters are really short. This is written in a way that it's like vignettes, so you're never in those sort of chapters too long. So even if there's like an aspect where you're not really into it too much, you move on pretty quickly, that it doesn't again bog down the experience of reading the book, which I really appreciated. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed my experience with this book. I think that if you're someone who has read some of Renee Watson's other books, like her young adult or middle grade stuff, I think that you would enjoy this book. I believe that this is her first adult contemporary novel, question mark. I actually don't know for sure because she has written a lot of books, but I really enjoyed my experience with this book. It definitely made Renee Watson an author that I want to keep my eye on more, now that there have been like 2 books put out by her that I've really enjoyed. So yeah, overall I think that if you are someone who enjoys contemporary fiction books, definitely check out this book. Again, the writing style is a little bit different, so I have seen a couple people on Goodreads and things like that say that they couldn't really get into it, but personally I really enjoyed it. I think the shorter chapters also made it easier for me as a person whose attention span feels like it's always sort of fractured these days. It made it easy for me to jump into and out of the book as needed. So yeah, overall I would rate this book a 4.5 stars. Like it's definitely going to be up there as one of my favorites that I read this year. I just thought it was really beautifully written. The topics are really well handled, and just like a really great exploration of all these different things. So yeah, highly recommend this one, and yeah, just really grateful that I ended up picking up this book this year. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Skin and Bones. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read this book, what your thoughts were on it, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave that down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.